Welcome to an example in which we are solving this three equations with three letters system. Here's the answers already. Now, we've done this in the past. We did it by hand and it was terribly difficult. A lot of steps. Now we're going to do it using matrices and a matrix calculator on desmos.com. It'll be way easier. So here we go. So what we're going to do is I want you to see, let me bring this down here a little bit. This is going to be like, right here, let me get them order up here. Bring it over here. Okay, so it's going to be like this. Oops, we did a straight line here. It's not so good. Oh, wow. Oh, trouble there. Okay, good enough. Tired of playing with that. So 3 minus 6, 1. Where did I get that? 3 minus 6, and there's 1 in front of z. And then this is a minus 1, 1, minus 1, 1, no, minus 1, 1, minus 1. And this is 1x and minus 2y, and there's no z at all. So that's the same thing as plus 0z. All right, so first off, do you see what I just did there? I just took the numbers in front of the letters. I just like peeled off the letters. So the 3, the minus 6, and if there's no number in front, it's like 1. Why? Because 1 times z is the same as z. Same thing here, minus 1, 1, minus 1. And then down below, 1, minus 2. Now there's no z at all, so that's 0, z. Okay, so peel that off. And now where do you put those letters? Well, I'm going to put the x, y, z right there. And then equal to, and then on the other side, these numbers, the right side, whoops, minus 23, 7, minus 7, like that. Okay, so what I've done is I've rewritten these three equations with three letters as one big matrix equation. It's a big old matrix times x, y, z equals a big old matrix. And now I'm going to use technology to solve the matrix equation. How so? Well, let me show you what it's like. It's like if you had 2, this is like a number, times x, this is like an x, equals, and then some other number over here, like whatever, like, let me change this to red so it looks like what you're here. Let me do the color. So it's like 2 times x equals whatever 7. Okay, how would you solve that for x? So you say, well, I would divide by 2 on both sides and x would be alone, and there's the answer. That's true. You would divide by 2 on both sides. Dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by a half. So let me just show it that way. I'm going to come in here and say, yeah, you would multiply by a half, and whatever you do to one side, you have no choice but to do the same thing to the other. What is, you say, well, I would divide by 2. Well, that's the same as multiplying by a half, right? Dividing by 2, multiplying by half, same thing. And the reason I want to show it this way is because then you see that what is that? That's the inverse of 2, isn't it? 1/2, it's 2 inverted. So what? Well, that makes these cancel. Half of 2 is 1, it's gone. And so you just get x alone. And over here, half of 7 is 3.5. And that's your answer. Isn't it? So my point is, you just, when you have a number times a letter equals a number, you multiply both sides by the inverse of that number. It cancels out, x is alone, and then your answer is on the other side. Well, let's do the same thing here. Let's come in and do the inverse, just like this half. Let's do the inverse and do it right here as well. Inverse. And then what'll happen is this and this will cancel out. Same kind of thing. And we'll get x, y, z equals, and this will be our answer. In other words, we'll do the same thing with matrices that we do with plain old numbers, right? Just thinking, when you have 2 times x equals 7, what do? You multiply both sides by half, because that's the inverse of 2. These cancel out, x is alone, you get your answer over here. Well, I'll take this whole, do the same thing with the matrices. Take this whole matrix, multiply by the inverse of it, which I'll find on Desmos. These will cancel out because it's the inverse. The inverse and the regular matrix cancel each other out. X, Y, Z is alone. But whatever you do to one side, you multiply the inverse on the left side, you got to multiply the inverse on the right side, just like a half and a half on both sides, right? The inverse and the inverse both sides. And then over here will be your answer because X, Y, Z will be alone. These will cancel. And so that's what we're going to do. So how do we get our answer then? The answer is going to be right here. It's going to be the, whoops, let me change the color there. It's going to be the inverse times the, whoops, didn't do that so well, minus 23, 7 minus 7. So that's what it'll equal. That's what X, Y, Z will equal. The inverse times that. So we just got to go to Desmos and do the inverse times this. The inverse of what? The inverse of this matrix. That inverse times that. That'll be our answer. That'll be X, Y, Z all in one step. So let me show you. I'm going to share my screen now. And here we go. I'll go new matrix. So, and I'll make it got to increase the row in the column, make it a 3 by 3. Put in the matrix, the 3, tab, minus 6, tab, 1, tab, minus 1, tab, 1, tab, minus 1, tab. I hit tab every time. Let's do tab 0. Okay. There it is. There's the original matrix they gave us. If I have that right, let me double check. Yep, that looks right. So now take what are we going to do? We're going to take the inverse of it. So I come down here and I go matrix A and then hit the inverse button. So that's the inverse of it times. Oh, wait, I need that matrix on the right side, don't I? Okay, hold on. Forgot. I got to get the other matrix for stuff. So new matrix. I got to do the matrix for the other one. So I got to make this one will be wait, I'm doing that wrong. There we go. Make it go down, straight down. So it'll be minus 23 and then tab and then 7 tab and then minus 7. So there's the other one. Oh, so A and B are my two matrices. Now I just take the first matrix A, take the inverse of it. Remember, it's inverse times the second matrix, which is B. See how that's the inverse times the B, the right side? And over here, look at that. There's your answers right there. Minus 3, 2, minus 2. That's your X, Y, Z. And those, if you look back to the answer key, those are the exact right answers. That's X, that's Y, that's Z. X is minus 3, Y is 2, Z is minus 2. There's our three answers. So again, how do we do it? We put A in as the original matrix, B as the matrix on the right side, and then just like I showed in the example, it's the inverse of the first one times the right side, and boom, you get your three answers. Way easier than doing it by hand. And so there we go.